he's like, you want me to tell you about yourself? I'm going to tell you about yourself right now. You walk around here with your chest puffed out, like big man on the fire crew. And dude, the fact of the matter is that you're a joke. You're a sorry excuse for a man, and you're a non-existent father. Your job is to provide, protect. You're not doing any of that. I hear you on the phone, asking for money. Who do you think you are?
Welcome to another episode of the Powerless to Powerful Recovery podcast. My name's Jason. I'm an alcoholic and addict. As always, our mission is to share experience, strength, and hope across multiple media platforms, the story of addiction and the road to recovery. We're not affiliated with Alcoholics Anonymous or any other 12-step based organizations or groups in any way, but we are back with another day of recording. And my co-host, Ronnie No Matter What's here. What's up, Ron?
Here we go.
I mean, can we get a smile, brother? Can we get a smile? Got them teeth fixed.
Beaming.
Fix your credit, fix your teeth,
Fix
baby.
your credit, fix your teeth.
How's it feel, brother?
Man, it feels great.
Dude, when Bella saw you, she was like, "Oh my god,
Man,
this
that
is so
just
awesome!"
warmed
My
my
daughter,
heart at
yeah,
dinner, and she goes, "Uncle Crazy, your teeth look great." Oh man, I was like, "That's cool."
yeah, dude, it's so amazing, dude. I just love to see the smile now, dude, and the confidence that it brings, the additional confidence. And I'm just excited for everything we're doing. Shout out to Striventa, shout out to Matt, Desert Recovery Center Studios. But Ron, today we got a special guest. Not only is he part of the felon crew, right? He's got a couple felonies. I mean, we did meet behind razor wire, but not only is he a felon, he's a friend, he's a father, he's a philanthropist, senior project manager, team lead, ProWest, Interstate Roofing, 22 different states.
What?
I had to ask this man if he was in the country to even schedule with him. I mean, those are the questions I got to ask him now. Yeah. Drew Neiertz is here. Shout out, brother. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, thank you guys having me as America's premier roofing specialist. It's really cool to be able to take a day off and come hang out and try to do some good.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, everything. I mean, Ron and I watch not only you, but shout out to Adam and Landon and Gabe and Eric and Adam. I mean, all of them. Just shout out to the whole entire team, all the guys that are doing their thing that came from that pipeline of recovery, dude, because that's where it all real started. But just talk a little bit about ProWest, being in 22 different states, Interstate Roofing. I know you're always hiring, looking for all-stars, looking for guys who have discipline, that grind. I mean, squatting 450. I mean, the legs. Jesus Christ, dude.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal, brother. So talk a little bit about that.
So yeah, we're in 22 different states, largest organically grown sales force as far as in the roofing industry that I know of, definitely in the Western states. But we really focus on guys that are coming from the recovery scene because they are uniquely qualified due to that kind of, what do we talk about? Mental obsession and physical life. You can channel that mental obsession to succeed with the physical allergy of failing, right? And channel that towards roofing or really anything. You just absolutely launch into the stratosphere. So we pride ourselves on being able to hire, train, and develop, people from that sort of background and show you how to channel that in order to achieve success.
And I mean, we're talking, there's all different levels of success, but these guys are achieving very high
Next level.
Next level. Like never been done before, unheard of. And not only just Drew, not just Landon and Adam Tronier, and not just those guys. And I can name like 17 other guys who are all part of that recovery community that was behind razor wire, where we all were disciplined, and that's where we all found it, but they all were successful on a high level. So talk a little bit about commissions, what that looks like, and kind of what that brings, because not only are you developing leaders and salesmen and confidence and men, right, and bringing felons on when they can't find a job anywhere else if they struggle. You guys hire those type of individuals because we are those type of individuals who've had that comeback story. But talk a little bit about the money, brother. Talk a little bit about the money.
I mean, yeah, the money's very nice. I've been able to, purchase some pretty cool stuff. Really, where I get off at is watching other guys, being able to achieve that, take their kids on vacations, purchase homes, get themselves in better living situations, and just, being able to do what we need to do as a man, right? Provide and protect for everyone that's kind of in our sphere of influence that's depending on us, be able to have the access and the clear runway to be able to access that kind of.
I mean, you've been home for not even 2 years. This man's 2.5 years ish. He's been home, dude. 3 years in March, right?
Correct.
And in that 2.5-year period, starting from nothing, we're going to talk about the comeback journey today. Starting from nothing, dude, a gate fee and a couple phone numbers, dude. At New Freedom, where you got your start, we're going to talk about it in a second. But we're talking about not only purchasing a truck, and those trucks aren't cheap. I'm talking about a real truck, a real truck, dude. We're talking about getting a Corvette, buying his first home, dude. Vacations, all the things, being a father. I mean, he's been at so many football games. I mean, anything he wants to do, he can do, dude.
Let's go.
And it's because of recovery, dude, that gave him that fighting spirit. And I love what he said because we don't talk about that a lot because it's kind of a conversation, right? But if we have this obsession, right, and this addictive mentality, dude, that we all suffer from that same disease, but once we've recovered from it, we have that daily reprieve, and now we channel that die hard go, just like we did for drugs and alcohol, but now we channel it for success, for recovery, for fitness, for coaching, for life skills, dude, for betterment and self-improvement, dude, and they've been able to do it at a high level just like us, dude.
You talk about it all the time is channeling. What I'm hearing here is those character defects, channeling them and doing the opposite of what those character defects and becoming a good husband, father, brother, son, employee. And once that entire psychic change happens, here we go. Here's an example of it, right? He took all the character defects, all the things that held you back, that kept you incarcerated, and now you flip those to assets, just the opposite of each one of those. And here you are, an example for other men. I think that's the most important part that I see in you and Adam, because I know you two the most out of that crew, is that you guys are that example to many men, right? And that's important, is being that shining example.
I mean, yeah, winning the morning every single morning, hitting the gym, getting disciplined, getting out your goals, your to-do list, dude, and everything you need to do to feel accomplished, to achieve success for constant, never-ending growth, because that's what it is.
Look at him. He's doing this shit for... Hey, get crazy with me. You're
going to call Drew? You're going to
twist your ass up for me, dude. He gets a little out of hand sometimes, bro.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm really glad you brought that up, because his nickname is Rhino.
Oh, boy.
And I'm a
looks like a rhino.
He's got he's got a couple tattoos, just a couple. I was there for a lot of them, but talk about that nickname and where that comes from.
I was serving my first prison sentence in Louisiana. It was definitely the minority, down there. Tried to pick on me a little bit, and I grabbed a few gangbangers, by the head and pulled them into me, and we had a face-to-face meeting, and it didn't turn out so well for them, and they guys started kind of affectionately calling me Rhino, and here we are.
Here we are. So, I mean, a couple headbutts, dude. Now you got a nickname, dude. You start headbutting everyone. That's your go-to move, dude. You lean in with a headbutt, dude?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that, dude? Trying to fight someone and you just head first into you, dude?
Smiling.
Yeah.
Smiling while he's doing like that grin.
And it's a true story, dude. And he really lived that nickname for a very, very long time. And, I always like to tell the story of kind of how we met, how we know our guests. They're not just, we do get tons of people who reach out and want to be on the show. I get all of your requests. I respond to them. Our calendar is booked out and I want everybody on the show. But when we're talking about how we met, dude, so I'm going to give the story, dude. So everyone knows I was serving an 8-year prison sentence, right? And I had found recovery. I needed to build a resume a little bit more, but I finally find recovery, became the recovery guy, just like Ron. Ron was a recovery guy too, right? And so there's a whole group of men, and all those group of men are all the roofing guys that we're talking about, and they were on the fire crew. Shout out Florence Fire Crew. Shout out to all those men, dude. That was a path of recovery in itself, and they're living proof of it. Yeah. They coupled that path, that discipline the fire crew gave them, and they coupled that with a path of a 12-step program, bro. And all their lives are a reflection of it today. But I was known as a recovery guy, right? And I knew all the fire crew, and I had just seen Drew in the fire crew building. They all lived together, right? But he looked hostile every time I saw him, and he had that. I mean, Rhino, okay,
Rhino,
all right, okay.
Yeah.
So one day I'm on my rack. It's on the weekend, dude, and I'm just kicking back, watching TV, right? And all of a sudden the Florence Fire Crew shows up, and I mean like all of them. And like, hey, can we talk to you outside? I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever, yeah, no problem, right? So I go outside, and they're like, hey, we got something we really need you to do. I'm like, okay, cool, what's up? Like, we need you to sponsor Rhino. I'm like, okay. They're like, look, dude, he's headbutting people, he's beating people up, he's slapping everybody around, he's hostile at all times. But on the other side of it, He's the hardest worker that we have on the fire crew. He's the next in the line to take over this crew when the next releases come. Like, we really need to get this dude together before we lose this dude because he has something special.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, will you sponsor him? I'm like, okay, sure. Right. So I go over there, dude. And, you know, we end up working together, and then we take this journey together where we work the steps together, dude. And on Florence North unit, there was this tiny little, it wasn't even, it was a Connex. One Connex, right? It was one Connex, dude, and it was unlocked. They always kept it unlocked. It was full of like so many books. There was 2 little seats surrounded by books, and we would go into this little Connex, and we would go in there, dude. And we worked all the steps in there for the most part, dude. And we went through everything. We talked, when we worked, and we had a spiritual experience together, dude. We became friends together. We ended up getting moved to a different yard. I'm getting the chills right now. Living in the same building. COVID happened, so we were quarantined together. We worked out together all the way up until the day I got released. We were doing fucking burpees all day long. I mean, like look at him, dude. I used to be in pretty good shape too. I'm in soccer shape, you know? But we just went on that, dude, God, where's people clothes, bro?
Yeah.
You know, and that's Ron's thing, you know, and together we showed up for each other, dude, and we had amazing experience, dude. And so, what was that like, dude? You remember that, dude?
Yeah, like it was yesterday. It was the turning point in my life. I think it's important to note that, and kind of Jason touched on it. I had been abstaining. Right, I was about 2 years into my prison sentence and hadn't used since the days that the task force came for me. So the worst part about where I was at my life in that point was I couldn't even blame it on drugs or alcohol because I hadn't been using it. It was 1,000%. A me problem. And so, intervention took place, and I had to just, submit, that I was going to do this thing that I thought was for weak people and I didn't need it. And that's weird. And I'm not talking about my feelings, and I'm not doing any of this stuff because I'm not using, but yet somehow my life was still unmanageable and I was powerless to stop it. Right. So I had nothing to lose. And I went in, just like with everything else, I bit down on this thing. Jason was the dude, and took me through it. And there's one thing that I'll never forget was when I did, my inventory. And, I'm up, I got the thesaurus and the dictionary out, and I bring him, 3 pages.
Dude, he was so thorough, bro.
Awesome.
He went for it, dude.
And I bring this to him, and he just looks at me and he's like, dude, this is trash. Like, you left the worst stuff out. He's like, you want me to tell you about yourself? I'm going to tell you about yourself right now. You walk around here with your chest puffed out, like big man on the fire crew. And dude, the fact of the matter is that you're a joke. You're a sorry excuse for a man, and you're a non-existent father. Your job is to provide, protect. You're not doing any of that. I hear you on the phone, asking for money. Who do you think you are? And I got hot.
I thought I was going to get beat up, bro. I thought I was going to get beat because, dude, that's the hard part of being a sponsor, right?
Sure.
Like, sure, you can point out all that shit, and we're talking about resentments with family, and we're talking about this, but let's look at what type of fathers we've been, dude. I was a father at that time, dude, away from my daughter. My daughter was 2 when I went in, 9 when I got out, dude. We did time with kids, dude, and I remember what that was like for you, dude. But at some point, for him, where he was at, I had to hit him straight in the mouth with it, dude. And I've never done that deep before, dude.
And the only thing that saved him from getting hit in the mouth for saying it was that it was the fucking truth, dude. That was what saved him. And so, I had to the shaving in the mirror the next morning felt a little bit different, but it was good. I needed that humility. I needed that snap back to reality about what the fuck is really going on right now, and not being distracted by all the noise. You talk about a moment of clarity, he provided me with that.
Sure. Yeah, because it's easy, because I've been in those situations in prison, right? It's easy to lose sight of that I'm not a good father, and I'm not a good husband, I'm not a good son, because you're the big man on Florence unit. You're the guy that everyone looks to in the fire crew. You're the hardest working guy. You're Rhino. If somebody disrespects you or one of your friends, you're going to run through them, right? And it's easy to lose, we can get caught up in that false reality, and not the reality that he hit you with. He got a big set of balls on you.
Dude, he looked at me, bro.
Dude, were you in that little place?
We were in that library, dude.
I bet.
Oh, yeah. But phenomenal moment. I'll never forget that.
Awesome.
The rest of my life, I'll never forget that moment.
Yeah, dude. It was. I'll never forget that either. And I was hoping he kind of brought that piece up, because it was something. it was something that needed, and God was there, bro. And
Sure.
and his conception of a higher power had evolved, and we had met him where he was at with all the things that he was going through, and it was just amazing for that experience to come together. And when that clicked in that moment, dude, everything shifted, dude. Everything changed from that moment, dude. And the whole look on his face, and the way he carried himself, and the way he represented himself on that crew, he took over that crew. He became the lead, and all the blue hat and all the different things that went with being the, most respected, the leader of the crew, the hardest working. I mean, that's not something given to anyone. I mean, those dudes were the hardest working fire crew in the state, and they prided themselves on it, dude. All working out for like savagely, dude. Yeah. Like, I don't think I want to work out with them today, dude. So just amazing to see. But every journey starts somewhere. So you were born in Spokane, Washington, dude, and you were there for, shout out Seahawks. I know. I seen you beat up a few people. I remember when the Cardinals beat the Seahawks, dude, and we were in a pod with 100 people, dude, and they started cheering and clapping, and Drew stood up and yelled at every one of them, dude. He is a Hawks diehard sports fan, Hawks fan, youth sports, helping the youth, putting them in positions to be successful is your dream with all those things. But talk about the family dynamic and what it was like growing up in Washington, because the family suffer from the same disease that we suffer from, And so what that led to was foster homes and institutions in jail and the system, really. So what was that like for you?
I mean, yeah, it was pounded pretty hard by the system, which, prepped me for, being locked up all over the place. And, I was never disillusioned. I felt like I belonged, in jail and behind bars. So it never really dawned on me, this is not right, which allowed me to never, when I went in, to never feel like, I'm going to change, or I'm going to find God, or I'm going to do this. It's just like, this is the life that I chose. This is part of it. This is an opportunity to meet other criminals and become, more connected, better educated as far as my life as a career criminal, and go out and hit it harder.
I mean, you were hitting it pretty hard. I mean, and we always, every time we say the age and we say the number, I always think of Bella, my oldest daughter, because we're talking using hardcore drugs at 12, 13 years old. I mean, because we're in foster care, we're in institutions, we're in jail. Most jails, you can get anything you want at any time, dude. That's just how it works. They'll never be able to stop it. It's just part of it. It's all about what you do and who you sync up with when you get in. But we're talking about using hardcore drugs, dude, and what leads with that is we're committing some crimes. I mean, and you end up becoming, how many foster care homes were you in? I mean, were you bouncing around? Were you staying for a year at a time? Do you talk to any of them anymore? I mean, was there anything like that?
No. So I actually got to a point where I had assaulted a few of my, foster care dads, because those places were the worst. And I pretty much told, my caseworker, don't put me in foster care anymore. You can put me in, one of these lockdown group homes or crisis residential center, or the Riley house, or something, place. It's like a turnstile where kids just come in and out. I had been through it enough to where I know the staff there and got a little bit of, preferential treatment. And I pretty much just told him, you put me in foster care anymore, I'm going to assault the dude, because I'd rather be in jail than in foster care.
Yeah. Okay. Because that leads to being, dude, emancipated, dude. I know the word, dude. I mean, that means you basically, explain that to us.
So that means that I had to build a case with my caseworker so you can emancipate from questionable parents, or you can emancipate from the state. If your parents, you can kind of make the case, hey, I'm better off by myself than with my parents. That's a little bit easier. I had to build the case to the state that I was better off by myself than in the state's care. And so they slapped a list of criteria down this. But the thing that really jumps out to me is I had to complete this RLSVP, which was like the Responsible Living Skills Program, which taught you how to do everything from fill out a job application to iron clothes to balance a checkbook. I'm kind of aging myself. People use, checks back then.
Yeah.
But, all of this stuff. And I had to do all of these things and attend so many classes and do this and have good behavior, for some amount of time, as far as like the structure, doing my chores, all of this stuff. And I just barely did enough, good enough criteria to where they granted me, my emancipation at 16 years old. So I became my own legal guardian, which was pretty cool until
you realize now you got to do everything. Now you got to do everything.
Well, no oversight. You talk about, the blind leading the blind.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that, because then what happens now is, you know, you've already labeled yourself as an adolescent, as a career criminal. Now you have no oversight, dude. So the crimes get greater.
No oversight. I had an apartment that was, you know, $300 a month, which, you know, back at this time was, you know, a fair amount of money, and you know, no car, right, public transportation around, and long story short, I ended up looking to sell dope.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the path.
Hustle.
That was the pathway of least resistance to get, you know, to where I want to go. And you know, connected with a guy that was from Southern California, a gangbanger down there. I would jump on Greyhound buses down to California. He would load me up, you know, like a mule. I would take it back up to Washington, and pretty much had 3 high schools, you know, on lock. If you were getting cocaine or ecstasy.
Because that was that time period, because you were the same age. So that was that time period. It was in, you know, talking 90s, late 90s, the 2000s. Early 2000s, we're talking coke, ecstasy. Dude. That was like the main thing that was going all around, dude.
Yeah, even if you weren't getting it from me.
White Mitsubishis, dude. You ever had them, Ron? Huh? The white Mitsubishis?
No.
Oh, my bad, brother. Green yin yangs? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, blue dolphins. I don't know.
And so what that ultimately leads to is to a point where you can't stay in Washington any longer. Right?
Nope. Yep. There was some pretty serious, you know, stuff that happened. I had to get out of there, and I had to get out of there fast. I jumped on a Greyhound bus, just nowhere, just going to Claremont, California.
Did you have anybody out there? You ever been there?
No one.
Claremont? No.
Oh, where is that?
No
Is
one.
that northern,
Dude,
southern, central?
It's like the southern part of the state. I probably couldn't even point it out geographically. Dude, I literally went to the Greyhound bus station with some money and was just like, I want to go to California. They're like, well, you know, this bus will get you here at this time. I said, book it. And yeah, pretty much didn't know where I was going. You know, got off the bus. Bus stations are pretty unsavory places. I've always been good at, you know, networking. And so I would just, you know, get in the mix. Hey, you know, what's up? Who are you? Where's it at? You know, get in the scene, you know, network through that scene. Total predator until I found some sort of lick.
You label yourself as a land pirate. You ever heard that term?
I know, but I love it.
You described a little bit about it. So
I know a bunch of them.
Because what ends up happening, I think I do too.
I was one too.
Yeah, I think I did that too. But the thing is, this period of time where you describe yourself as a land pirate, which I want you to describe, is that's about a 5-year period, right? We're talking like a good, but you're in and out of jails, prisons, prison sentences, and then you just return right to it for this period of time. So why don't you share what a land pirate is? I
mean, a land pirate is just somebody that roams, you know, the landscape of the drug world, you know, and you know, looks to turn and burn, and you know, get what you can out of it, and then get on to the next city, get on to the next state to state, paper plates, hanging out in, you know,
weekly
strip
stays,
clubs, weekly hotels, you know, whatever like that, and just, you know, getting in the mix, getting with a group of people, you know, working your way up to, you know, whatever it was, whether it was, you know, somebody that was just like a total truck that had money, or, you know, someone that didn't really belong in the game, that was an easy lick, you know, just looking for an opportunity to peel that off enough to carry it to the next place with no real direction other than I'm just out here doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I lived that life for a little bit. You ever lived that life, Ron?
Yeah.
You bounced around a little bit?
A
I mean, Ron showed up on a Greyhound in New York, from New York out here, dude, and you saw all the banana trees, right?
The banana trees and people dancing on the corners, and they were doing the Macarena. It was 115 degrees. And the thing that amazed me is every single person that I seen out on the corner that day all had a bike with a wagon.
A homemade wagon?
Yeah.
Where'd you go? Mesa, dude.
Yeah, the bus station right by the 60 there. Yeah.
Yep. You came in, you seen all them palm trees, thought they were banana trees.
They were banana trees. I was tripping out, dude. I was from New York. I'm like, man, these people are looking at me, what the fuck is the matter with this dude? I'd never seen a palm tree before. I had no idea.
Yeah. And so, but during this period of time, though, we're talking about hardcore drug use. We're talking about major crimes. We're talking about in and out of jails and institutions. I mean, that whole time you're in and out of multiple prisons because you've been arrested in 11 different states. You've been to prison in 3 different states. And you've been on the 5 o'clock news twice.
If you Google me, that's what's going to pop up.
That's what's going to.
Yeah, Washington, North Dakota, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Nevada, Utah, and then, Arizona. Yeah. Prison in Louisiana, Utah, and Arizona.
Which county jail out of the 11 was the best?
The best? So Williston, North Dakota had to be the best. They didn't even have a chow hall. There was like a Mexican restaurant and like a little greasy spoon breakfast
the food
place.
court at the mall?
Dude, they'd literally bring you a card. You check off what you want, and then they get it, from those people. And the guards were just very nice, and there's no place for like a real like criminal to be in Williston, North Dakota's jail. Yeah.
North Dakota, huh? I mean, I've never been in North Dakota. I know. Shout out my boy Baker. He was in North Dakota working on all the oil fields and stuff like that. I mean, there probably is some big licks out there.
Dude, it literally got to a point where it was like costing me money to go work on the oil rigs, because I did that for a while. But
because you had many jobs, mainly sales jobs, right? Is that mainly?
Well, a little bit, I rough-necked, for a little bit, kind of dabbled in some sales stuff, but it was all just like with any, addict's life. These were short-lived.
Short-term jobs. Yeah. And bouncing around and, because the problem is when we get these jobs with our addiction, what we need our bosses to do is to give us our check early all the time. Let us take 47 bathroom breaks, show up whenever we want to. And if they would just do that, everything would be fine. And where does that come from, Ron? That's from the actor scenario, brother. And that's how I lived my life for a long time. If my girl would do everything I wanted her to do, if my mom would just do what I needed her to do, everything would be fine. But nothing was fine. Everything was chaos. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, right? And now when you start talking about prison sentences and then you land in Arizona, dude. And what was that like? What brought you out here?
I followed a girl, that I met in Texas out here. It was kind of how I kind of landed in Arizona. They hammered me on a 6-year prison sentence, and Arizona prison system is political, and so I'm going through I know I'm looking at some time. They're talking about 10 to 15. They're talking about 10 to 15. I get a pretty mitigated sentence. They give me 6, but I'm sorry, man. 6 is a long time, and I know me. Like I'm hardcore. When I do something. And, Arizona had the politics, out west here.
Were we the only state that had I mean, you did prison time in 3, but was there we have politics in county jail?
Utah did, but I didn't do like years there. Louisiana was just straight up, get in where you fit in. It's more like by your gang or your city down there. And with me being a, northern
land pirate. Were you running with the land pirates?
I was running over anyone that was in my way.
Yeah, I know you were. Dude.
The cool thing was, with not having the politics down there, I play basketball. And so, I took some hard elbows and, kind of got roughed up a little bit on the basketball court, but they're like, okay, why
you can play.
Yeah, but Whitey's got some heart. Okay, we're gonna mess with them. And then like the Puerto Rican dudes down there and stuff like that. I play cards and cook with them and stuff. So I kind of just got in with everybody. But that's obviously wasn't the get down in Arizona, so to speak. I was somewhat scared of the politics because I knew that if I got wrapped up in that,
you could really.
I would have never went home.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting, with my cellie in 4th Ave talking about this, and he'd done 20 years. And he's like, yo, you should do this fire crew thing. They kind of get a pass, because of the way that, with the firefighting or whatever.
Because you actually go, I don't know if people know this, dude, but the prisons have fire crews, and it's the guys who are in the best shape. They're looking for leaders, looking to build discipline and all those things. But they actually go fight fires, literally off the prison complex, at a fire, a week at a time, with civilians, real firefighters, just like real fire. You are. Right, you do all the tests, you pass all the things, you do every single thing. Got to know it all, and do it every single day.
Yeah, all of the certifications and stuff that I earned while I was in there, 1,000% translates to the real world. Super cool experience, and that being part of that group of exceptional men, coupled with also the guys that was in recovery, is what I directly attribute to for for my success. It took 20 badass firefighters and about 40 other badass dudes in recovery to yank my head out of my ass, and all of them pulling together, at one time.
It did, dude. It took us all, dude. It took us all. And so let's pick it up there, dude. So, you end up getting the 6-year prison sentence, and just talk a little bit about what it was like on the fire crew with all those men. Shout out to Reed, shout out to Adam, shout out more of them that were all on that crew that you want to, but all of them really, because you guys were the exceptional crew, first there, first in, last out, that type of thing, priding yourselves on not taking a break, not eating, right? like literally all those things. So just share like maybe some moments just from that period of time, because I truly believe that was a path of recovery in itself, the way that crew specifically carried themselves. They all lived together, the discipline, because that's what it's all about. And that's what recovery gives us, is that discipline, man. And so just talk a little bit about what that was like.
You talk about, having standards and expectations in your life and non-negotiables. And so, one of the things that was told to me when I came on that crew was, we're the best crew in the state. We are only as strong as our weakest link. We do not tolerate, weak links. So you are going to be out there at 2:00, the heat of the day, 115 degrees in the middle of the frickin' Sonoran Desert, out there on the basketball court. Absolutely get busy, dude. And we're going to be on your helmet the whole time, which was kind of the thing. I like challenge, So my first thought was, these are 20 of the baddest dudes, a pretty big prison, can I even make the cut? Where do I stack up? And really all of my reasons for wanting to do that were just, self-serving, ego, all of these things, but it ultimately ended up leading me, to the recovery, to the right place, because, Reed told me when I came in there, he's like, dude, this crew is not about fighting fire. This crew is about never coming back to prison. Because guess what? With a moral compass and discipline and a work ethic, dude, you can fucking make it out there. So it's about, rebooting your thought process and learning about duty and respect and integrity, and carrying that out, applying these principles, in all of your affairs under any circumstances, right? In order to achieve real results. And
so there's a thing in the beginning, dude, where you have to pass it to make it, dude, where you got to climb a mountain or some shit, right? Just talk about that piece for a sec.
A lot of guys have really cool stories about that. I mean, for me,
just crushed it.
I just crushed it. Yeah, I crushed it. They were like, holy
but just
smokes.
tell everybody what it is, though. I know you were. Look at the shape you're in. He's been in this shape, bro.
So yeah, you do a practical. So you're fully loaded with gear. Your IA pack is about 45 pounds. A bladder bag, which is just a 5-gallon sack of water, is about another 45. So there's 90. Steel 361 chainsaw. If you're going for a leadership position, is another 25. So your body weight plus about 120 pounds of gear. Up a pretty steep mountain that's got some false peaks, and it's kind of engineered. The reason that we do that hike is because it's meant to mentally fuck you.
Because you think you're there.
You're going up, and you think you see the top, and you get up there and you're like, oh God, I make it, and then the thing. And you're just like, oh my God, I'm done. I'm smoked. I don't have anything left in me. But you find strength in just keeping your boots moving and the guys next to you, and guys are, talking to you and cheering you on. The physical part of it was never difficult for me. I crushed that. Where I needed help was the mental part. I had a very skewed vision of what a man was and what strength. I thought might was right. If I could, you can't whoop me, you can't tell me anything. And, prison, right? We talk about respect. Respect is the currency of prison. And here's what I came to find. Respect is a very misconstrued term, and people oftentimes get respect misconstrued with fear. I don't respect you because you can beat me up or stab me or take my TV off. I fear that, right? And here's how I know that is after watching guys like Adam and Joey and Reed and Jeremy Campbell and all these guys operate, I came to see that I truly respected them, because amongst a sea of negativity, these guys had integrity. They had a servant's heart. They were doing the right thing. They could beat you up if they wanted to. They had that might, right? But they still did the right thing. And I came to question some of my preconceived notions about what was going on in here. These guys had the courage to do the right thing when everyone else in that environment celebrated doing the wrong. And I came to find out that, watching these guys operate, and seeing that they weren't just full of shit and it wasn't just a show or anything else, that it was real and it was genuine, I came to truly respect that. That was when I kind of started to buy in a little bit and sip the Kool-Aid and started to think, man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it became the flip, right? Because we always think that, you know, the sober guys they're not cool. Like, that's not the cool crowd, especially not the cool. It wasn't they used to hide my big book. I remember, shout out Maddie. I remember that he told me the first thing he told me to, because I had trouble setting boundaries. I still wanted to hustle and I couldn't say no to people. So I would get on the phone like I was going to do a fucking drug deal just to be liked. But I was trying to work a program in recovery, but I just came back to the yard where I was a dope man. So I had an identity crisis, dude. I didn't know what I was doing, you know, and it's just, you know, he told me, dude, just carry your big book just carry it, dude. Be proud of it, dude, because you're doing the right thing and you're being a man, dude, and you're doing something different than everybody else is doing. And this is what's going to help you be the father that you want to be, because that was the biggest thing for you and I. That was the hardest part of doing time, because shout out to your daughter, dude, you know, and her, and just, and the moments you get to share with her today is everything. And it's the reason, it's the why, it's the motivation, dude. It's the motivation for us all, you know? So you get released March in 2023, dude. And it wasn't like you got picked up in a limo and you got taken to your house. I was waiting for you. You know, I had the privilege, shout out to my wife, of having a wife pick me up who was there with me and my, you know, all that, going to a place, but he didn't, dude. So you showed up at New Freedom, shout out New Freedom. You showed up at New Freedom with a gate fee, $250. My phone number, I wasn't allowed on the property anymore. Shout out New Freedom, right? Shout out Joe McDonald. And
you're allowed there now.
I'm back. I'm allowed back.
Yeah.
You know, thank you.
You can't hold a good one down.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But you showed up at New Freedom with 2 phone numbers and a gate fee, dude. And what was that like?
It's terrifying. You know, now, I mean, dude, when you're in prison, you belong, and the degree of difference in between the brokest person and the richest person in prison. What are we talking about? Fundraiser blankets, a nice pillow, locker full of gas station snacks. You know, you ever walked into a grocery store and said, "Where's your prepackaged Brazilian meat?" I haven't. So, you know, but now you're out in the real world and you're actually seeing, dude, this is how far behind I am. There's guys driving around here with beautiful women and BMWs, and they have houses and they have money and they have retirement accounts. I have nothing as a middle-aged man. How am I going to make up this gap, right? We talk about just, you know, doing the next right thing and believing that the next right thing will come. I had to start with nothing. I had no ID. I had no driver's license. I had no birth certificate. I had no social security card. I had none of this stuff. So I just trusted the process. I put one foot in front of the other. I made a list. I inventoried, right, what I needed to do, and I just started systematically working down my list, making progress every single day, stacking wins until I got all of my documentation together. Adam and Landon, they're like, dude, we're going to get you a truck. Landon came, picked me up, got me a truck. As soon as I had my license, they said, dude, we're going to get you into roofing. Like, I know nothing about roofing.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, we're going to teach you.
But I want to share one thing about it, dude, because, you know, it was one of those things, right? You're in New Freedom, right? Now it's time. You got all your IDs you've had, because you don't just get that. I mean, you got to advocate for yourself, dude.
Sure.
You have to make a list, systematically target it, take action to achieve it every single day, and do it, dude. Right? And so you get to New Freedom, and then you're getting ready to now graduate. We're now here at showtime, dude. And everybody's telling you, dude, roofing? Bro, it's commission only. You know nothing about it. You don't get paid for your first 3 months because you got to make the deals. Then you got to case manage the deals all the way till the roof goes on the house. Then you get paid, right? So now you're 3 months without pay. You got, at this point, probably $1 left, right? And you got blessed with the truck. Shout out to the guys, dude. You know, just shout out to what they do, and their level of service that they're able to provide, dude, is exceptional. What roofing and recovery and the fire crew has given them. And everybody's telling you no, right? We've had people tell us that, Ron. We've had people tell us we can't do things and it's not the right time and the industry's dead. Daily. That's right, brother. And that's the motivation.
Daily.
And that's the motivation. And I got a call because we were talking, and I got a call from him, and he didn't ask me, like, hey, what do you think? He said, hey, dude, I just want you to know, dude, that everybody's telling me not to do this. He said, dude, but I'm going to fucking bet on myself, dude. I'm a fucking bet on myself, dude. And you hung up, dude. Just wanted to notify me, dude. And that's what you did, dude.
Yeah, and the way that happened, I was sitting in my room watching a basketball game, so this is like May. So it's basketball season. I'm sitting there watching an NBA game. They're talking about this coach and da-da-da-da and how he bet on himself. And it just rung a fucking bell in my head. I was like, dude, this dude bet on himself. And because I was kind of like back and forth. Do I take the safe route? Do I take the $22 an hour as doing something like this and kind of just build slow and steady? Or do I just say,
let's go.
Fuck it, dude. I'm doubling down and I'm going to bet on myself and make this happen. And I've become so like fortified in my belief in that now. I am always trying to tell people, dude, bet on yourself. Chase that dream, put in that work, put it all on the line, because if you feel that, you need to realize that. I would rather live with a failure than live with the what ifs. At least at the end of the day, I could look in the mirror and be like, yo, I gave it everything I got and I fell flat on my face, but fuck it, at least now I know where I stack up, as opposed to I just played it safe and I left so much out there on the field and now I'll never know.
Yeah, dude, I'm getting motivated, bro.
Hey,
Ron, dude, because Ron, we watch. I'm not a hater, dude. I want everybody to succeed. I want everybody to win, dude. And when people win, dude, it fires me up, especially my friends. Dude.
Yes.
At the highest level, dude, when I'm watching them buy trucks and Corvettes, dude, and their first house and smart homes and trips all around the country, dude, I'm getting jacked right fucking now, dude. But it didn't happen right away, because when you left New Freedom, you went to a sober living, dude.
Yeah.
You went to a sober living, bro.
Dude, Landon made a phone call to this guy. They literally built a room in the middle of the living room, in between the living room and the kitchen. Guy got they went up there, they put studs, they put drywall, they put some light fixtures. They literally built me a room in the place that two other guys that were in the roofing space is. Because he kind of had like, throughout his roster of sober livings, there was kind of like some ones for like the others, right? Yeah. The guys that were kind of like, I don't know.
Do all that shit,
and then there was like, the good ones for like the dudes that were solid and that, he believed in. And that was, one of the ones for the dudes that was solid. Landon vetted me, got me in there. The guy, shout out Derek Green, literally built me a room to have an extra room in there because these guys pounded the table for me. Got in there. I'm learning all this stuff. I'm frustrated. I'm just trying to keep, I'm trying to rub two nickels together in order to get $1 just to try to get to that first paycheck. It was insane. I set a company record. So at first they're like, you're going to be selling roofs. I'm like, literally think I'm going to be knocking up to people's doors, like trying to sell them a roof. I go out with Landon and he's like, no, like this is insurance stuff. Like we just make a phone call. I was like, so wait, like, I don't have to collect any money. Like we're just talking people into a phone call for some free shit. And he's like, well, yeah, that's kind of like an oversimplification, but yeah. I was like, dude, get out of my way.
Yeah, hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. Went out and set a company record. Did 31 my first month. All beginner luck. Followed up with 28 the next month, and just absolutely like blew the doors off of the thing. And it was pretty cool.
Insane, dude.
It was insane. Yeah.
Hey, so you've been telling all these stories, and like all of you guys that were with Jason in prison, it's like a reality TV show for me that I watch all the time, and I get to know some of you personally. So I fan out on some of you guys, right?
Yeah, dude.
And a couple things real quick. You're telling your story how, that the test with the pack and you just blasted up that. It was tough, but you made it through it. I have a bunch of friends on the fire crew, Rashawn and Danny and Adam. And Adam's story of he almost fucking really died.
Yeah, dude,
right?
Yeah.
Like
his socks in his
feet
boot. We had to carry
off.
him out of there. No one knew what was going on.
He was detoxing too, I think, dude.
He was just suffering, dude.
And
it's no joke, dude.
And then I remember when you got out, because he always says, he would always say to me as the guys were getting out that he knew, he would, especially when I worked at New Freedom, and I wasn't working there at that time. I was with you at Sanctuary, and I knew you were getting out, and then I seen what you're talking about right now, where you sold the 31, then 28, and all of a sudden here you are, and you're all over the place. And I remember the first time I met you, and it was at a party, everyone was there, and you walked over to me, dude, and you had on a flashy outfit, the jewelry, the teeth, the glasses, and I'm like, oh, this guy's douchey. I love him. And I was waiting for you to come over with this loud, and you came over and you were just so humble, dude. And you put your hand out, because you knew who I was through Jason, and we met, and it was just like, well, this dude's the real freaking deal, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Like the real deal, bro. Like your energy, your aura, who you are. What an example for many, man. And it's just awesome that I get the backstories of it and I get to watch this reality show, man. I love it.
Yeah, shout out Redemption Blueprint, dude.
Yeah,
go check that out. If you want to see the life that these guys are living and but again, people always say must be nice, right?
Oh my God.
Must
Pisses
be
me off.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is fucking nice. As a matter of fact, it is really nice. But it only comes from fucking hard work every single day, rain and shine, chasing storms, knocking doors, gone for weeks, dude, on the grind. Dude, you got teams in 22 states, dude. I've literally watched you go to every single state, dude, building teams, right? Because that's what we're here to do. We're here. Leaders produce other leaders. And the space that you're in happens to produce other leaders with great financial success. I mean, we're talking when he said, he came onto the scene and said, like, I mean, this year he's done $1 million. No, I mean, proof's in the pudding. It's about outcomes. That's what it's all about. We can dance around. We're all sales guys sitting here. We can all talk. And with ChatGPT, I can make spreadsheets, fucking flow charts, all that shit. And I could gash you up about how nice those are, dude, and all these amazing things about this spreadsheet and what's to come. But if nothing has came, then you ain't got jack shit, dude. Right. And that's what's so impressive about you, the team, ProWest, Interstate Roofing, Adam Tronier, dude, and what you guys are doing over there because you're producing other leaders, dude. Man, it's just so amazing to watch, dude. So let's talk a little bit about, I mean, we're talking 2.5 years too, bro. Bought your first home. I mean, it's just amazing to see. But let's talk about Interstate. Let's talk about ProWest, dude, because I know you're looking for guys, right? Like, if you're seeing this, dude, and you want to be a part of, and you have that drive and that winning mentality, dude, and you want to win with other winners, because that's important, right? You want to go to a crew that has outcomes. Why would you want to be with a crew that has outcomes in a little bit of outcomes, or in a little bit in one state, dude? You're national, brother. You know, that's why I do AA, brother, because it's uncut. You know what I mean? I like the real deal. My shit's uncut. That's what I like, dude. And that's what ProWest and Interstate Roofing is, dude. Uncut, dude. So talk about the type of men you're looking for. Talk about what that's all about.
Dude, chances are if you're coming from, the recovery, seeing something like that, you're probably operating from a deficit, right? You got some ground to make up and cover. Anytime really you're in a position where you're trading time for money, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to make up that ground because you have a very hard cap as far as what you can earn, because there's only so much time that you can trade for money. Let me show you how to get paid off your results and not off your time. If you get on Forbes right now, right fucking now, October 2025, and look up the top 10 highest paid professions in the United States, outside sales rep is going to be number 7. So unless you plan, in the next 30 days, becoming a doctor or a surgeon or a therapist or something like that, let me show you how to make money. What I do is a little bit different than what most people teach. When I got into the sales space, I wanted to my boxing coach used to tell me, don't throw and hope, aim and fire. I did a deep dive on the psychology of sales and what is going to, entice people to act on impulse and get them to choose how to do this. And just through blood, sweat, and tears, playing with it out there, live fire, grenades flying around in the field, at the door with the homeowners, when the objections, I developed a system, right, based upon that psychology that I teach to my guys that has just been wildly successful. To your point, Jason, all of the personal accolades and stuff that I've achieved, that's pretty cool. It pales in comparison to, being able to, dude, this year I'm on track to develop 7 different $1 million sales guys. A lot of these guys had no sales experience, no contracting experience, no roofing knowledge. And I was able to, take them in to our company, to our team, to our culture, walk them across the bridges, spoon feed them all of this stuff. And these are guys with all different personality traits.
All different walks of life too.
Some guys are pit bulls, some guys are, poodles. got to figure out what makes these guys tick. How do I motivate them? There's some guys that I got to, talk to them and call them a bitch and tell them to fucking get going. There's some guys I got to hold their hand and mollycoddle them and stuff like, but figuring out how to get results, out of people and being able to, identify and assess what they need and then developing their strategies and tactics to get that to them so that they can achieve their full success. I pride myself on being able to do that. And I've had some really cool mentors, that did that with me. You're sitting here looking at one of them, when all of it comes in, and it's not just about, being able to teach you how to sell roofs. What do you do when tax time comes, right? How do you build your credit? How do you navigate the stresses of, being a project manager with your home and all of this stuff? You have like a built-in sobriety, right? How do I pull you back when you're just so deep into work and say, hey, dude, I need you to take some time off. We need to go hit some meetings, right? I see that you're falling back the other way. So having that built-in support system, not just to be successful in roofing, but successful in life, is really the thing that I attribute to our team kind of being like the destination team right now. We're a place that guys
they're the
want
Florence
to come
Fire
to.
Crew of the roofing game. I mean, they really are, dude. And the proof's in the pudding. I've watched him take all different cultures, backgrounds, races, dude, and a lot of them straight off the yard, dude. Like showed up in their blues, dude. You know what I mean? And I've literally watched him every single day make sales, continue to make more, to grow. And then I watch him post his flow charts of real outcomes. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. I know that no matter what in life, if something, God forbid, dude, I know what I'm doing, dude. Dude, if this wasn't my calling, dude, the desert recovery centers and to help men and women recover, dude, which is my heart. I remember that all the guys, right? I mean, you guys are all my friends, dude. Like my best friends at my wedding, all the things, right? And I remember they know I'm like the only job we had a telemarketing company together 15 years ago, dude. We were both in active addiction together, dude. That's how long I've known Ron. He was on meth and I was on spice and heroin and methadone for a while.
Combo.
Yeah, a little combo. Las Vegas cocktail, dude. And so they called me over. They were calling me every day. You got to come do this, dude. Life-changing money, dude. You've helped so many people. Greater level of service. R.I.P. to Ronnie. He was really the first person that got into the roofing. It was sending back the types of results and outcomes. We couldn't believe it, but you guys are all living it today.
R.I.P. Ronnie.
Yeah, man. And I went to the office and met with Adam and the boss over there. I can't remember the name, but it doesn't even matter, right? And they put a fat chunk of money down, dude. Keys to a truck. Because I'm like, I'm not putting a ladder in my Lexus, dude. Like, how the fuck am I going to do that? Even if I wanted to do it, I was making $16.50 at the time working at Sanctuary, dude. They put I'm talking at least 60 G's, and they kept putting more. Wanted to get more. It was up to like 80 in a truck, and Adam was going to give me 20. It was like crazy, dude. And I said, no, dude, I have this calling for God, and I got to be home every night, dude. Because I missed 7 years and not tucking my daughter into bed, dude. I'm not doing that again. And I can't do that, dude. And I'm going to run with this thing, dude. And the outcomes have been amazing for all of us. And you said it, dude. It wouldn't matter what we did, what we developed with recovery, the discipline that gave us, the men we became together, dude. It wouldn't matter where you put me, dude. It really wouldn't, dude.
No, dude, we talked about it earlier. Standards and expectations. And the one thing that everyone kind of came from, like, our sphere of recovery is, brother, if you want hardcore results, you can't have soft core effort. You need to knuckle up and bite down into this thing, and we are going to hold each other accountable, and we're going to call each other out on our shit, and iron is going to sharpen iron, and we're going to go fucking cut life up. And that is what everybody went and did. People that are in other spaces, people that are in the roofing space, people that are in the recovery space. So what's the common denominator? Because the numbers say that it's supposed to be flipped, right? The 85% of us were supposed to fail, stick a needle in our arm, commit more crimes, let our families down, all of this stuff. So we were able to tap into something that was so special because of that standard and that expectation of hardcore recovery, and how, those principles that we, implemented in our lives translated to direct results when we got on the street. We didn't even know what the fuck we were doing in there. Hey, we're gonna tuck our shirts in. We're gonna go sponsor guys. We're gonna do all of this stuff. And then just by having that mindset and that discipline, all of a sudden you get out in the streets and you just absolutely rock it because we had been putting in that work.
Yeah, dude, and that's what it's all about, dude. It's about that action. And it's never been done before. I don't care what anybody says, dude. What we had at North Unit, dude, was something so freaking special, dude. God was there. He touched every single one of us, dude. And the vulnerability that we had. I mean, dude, there were 60 people in a meeting, dude, standing room only. That's like unheard of, dude. People couldn't wait to get to the meeting to hear the fire that we were bringing in the vulnerability, dude. And it's just been amazing to see. So, and a pleasure to have you on the show today, dude. But if you want to be a part of this, dude, if you want to not only have the discipline, the camaraderie, the friendship, the financial success, the financial freedom, it feels so good to have that financial freedom. I know it does. And to be able to have that, but you got to have that dedication and that hard work and that drive. You might not even know you have it yet, dude, right? But we might show you that you got it. But if you got that feeling in you right now that you want to reach out and you want to be a part of ProWest, Interstate Roofing, you want to talk to Drew, hear about the crew, what it takes to be on it, dude, with application process, and you want to be a part of, how do they get in touch with you?
Dude, you can hit me up on Insta, NE1ERT2. You can hit me up on Facebook, Drew Neiertz. That's NEIERTZ, which is German for roofer. You can find me on Facebook, or message the podcast. I know these guys really well. They'll get back to me. But if you're out there, if you need an opportunity, if you believe in yourself, even if you don't, I believe in you. Call me. I'm going to bring the best out of you.
Yep. Give him a call, man. It's just been a pleasure to watch you succeed and be your friend, dude, and just be a part of, dude. And I love it. And my favorite part is you with your daughter, dude. Yeah. That is I'll start crying right now, but that is my favorite thing to see and see you post. All the Corvettes and the trips and the freaking Rolls Royces and these dudes, Redemption Blueprint, dude. Check it out if you want to see. Check out Drew Neiertz social media. You'll see it. The proof's in the pudding. And then look at all the others who have that same similar success at a high level. But if you are somebody that's also watching the show right now and you suffer from drugs and alcohol and you need help, that's what Desert Recovery Centers is here for. That's what the Powerless to Powerful podcast is here for. We're here to help you recover. I don't care about your financial situation, which insurance you have, state, commercial, doesn't even matter to me. If you need help, call us, message us, reach out to us. We want to help. We will not stop until we get you that help. And I promise you that is for real. Give us a call. Ron, if they want to get in touch with us, where can they find us?
Desert Recovery Centers on Instagram, Powerless to Powerful on Instagram, also on Facebook. You can always message us, Jason and Sarah, he's on Facebook, myself, Ron Alessi. Check out TikTok, Ronnie, no matter what.
And desertrecoverycenters.com. That's so easy. What we've been able to develop is a quick process for you to instantly speak with me or any of the guys on the team. Shout out Adam, Jeremy, Blaine. They will help you. You can reach us directly. Go to desertrecoverycenters.com. We're here to help. Episodes dropping. We're dropping 2 episodes a month, so be on the lookout. Every other week, there's a new episode that just dropped. Shout out to Zach over at the Embers. Hear his story, his message of hope. Shout out our last guest, Julio, man, Wrong to Strong. Dude, he's going to adolescent prisons. Dude, just an amazing individual, cartel member. Dude, that's now that message of hope. Check the shows out. They're all live on YouTube, but again, Drew, family, father, friend, philanthropist, dude, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. Tune in to the next episode dropping.